Hey, Ideal Protein Nation! Welcome to the Life Possible podcast. Here we are, episode 58. Man, this is a really, really cool episode. I got to tell you, we are going to Gotham City to talk to the dynamic duo as far as I'm concerned today. Hey, for those of you who are new to the Life Possible podcast and want to find out what the heck this show is all about, the Life Possible podcast was created to spotlight successful clients, coaches, and clinic owners who have used the Ideal Protein protocol to reset their body, reset their mind, and actually reset what's possible for their lives. You know, these people are living lives, they're pursuing and achieving goals that they thought were dead and gone. They're pursuing and achieving goals in some cases they never even knew they wanted to. In short, they're pursuing what we like to refer to as life possible. So who am I and why am I even doing this? Well, my name's Dr. John Barnes. And, this show and this journey is very personal for me. There's no easy way to put it. Back in 2015, I was fat, sick, and depressed. And I got to tell you, I really didn't see a way out. And so I gave up. But truly, I feel like God brought me the Ideal Protein protocol as the answer to so many of my prayers, both personally and professionally. Now I'm living a life that I like to describe as healthy, vibrant, and alive. In 2021, as a 54-year-old, I was able to complete my first half Ironman triathlon. A life possible goal I thought was dead and gone. So who do I have for you today? Well, I told you, I've got the dynamic duo. I've got Taso Mikroulis and his partner, Akis Ntonos. They are coming to us live from New York City today. And they have a couple of different clinics up there and a couple of different concepts. This is something that's going to be very new for the show. We're going to be talking to them. Their clinics are called both Ideal Health Center as well as Ion Aesthetics. And they combine their abilities and talents and passion to create a unique experience for people in New York City. So Taso himself is the founder and director of what is now known as the top-rated Ideal Health Center in New York City. They offer advanced medical weight loss and coaching all across New York. And he's the co-founder with Akis and clinical director of Ion Aesthetics, New York's premier injectables clinic that was recently, for the past 2 years running, voted best medical spa on the East Coast by Aesthetics Everything. He's an actor and a producer and a filmmaker. We're going to talk to him about a lot of these different things. I also heard he can sing. And Akis. Akis is Taso's co-founder in both businesses as well, but particularly in Ion Aesthetics. He's a family nurse practitioner, and he's board certified by the American Academy of Procedural Medicine to administer injectable treatments. You know, Akis' blend of art and science really sets him apart in the field of aesthetics as a true facial architect. And we're going to kind of explore what that means, something that I'm not really familiar with. And in the last 2 years running, he's been named top aesthetic injector, both 2022 and now 2023 by Aesthetic Everything. He holds 2 bachelor's degrees, a master's degree as a nurse practitioner, and is currently working on his doctoral degree in nursing practice from Johns Hopkins University. You know what? I'm tired of reading all these. They're the world's most interesting men as far as I'm concerned. Let's bring them in. Where are you guys? Hey, guys.
Hi, John.
Hi, John. Thanks so much for having us.
You know, it is so great to have you on the show. I had the opportunity. I met you guys in Atlanta last year, early in the year, but we got to spend a lot more time together in San Antonio when we were recently down there for the Ideal Protein Super Weekend. We had an amazing dinner together with Dawn, our CEO. And I got to tell you, I am so astounded by your accomplishments, the men that you guys are. And I can't wait to bring your stories to Ideal Protein Nation.
Thank you for the great introduction. That was amazing. But also coming from you, your personal story is so amazing. So thank you for having us.
Yeah, this is a fantastic podcast. You know, John, I've been wanting to be on this for a while now. So I'm glad we finally were able to pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that I can just kind of fit in because you guys, I tell you, it's like you've got your own publicist. We're going to see. I swear, like I said, that you've got a professional photographer that just follows you around. I love, I love your social media feeds because seeing how you are getting the word out, in magazine prints and online interviews, all kinds of different stuff. Super cool. So let's talk a little bit about, we talked about a lot of your interesting things. Taso, tell us a little bit about acting, producing, maybe even a little bit about singing.
So maybe about 20, 21 years ago when I graduated high school, I was
You graduated at the age of 12? What?
So I had a very different life back then. I've been in the performing arts since I was 9 years old. So that's something that's always stuck with me for my whole life. So when I moved to Greece when I was 18, and I studied at the American college over there, and I majored in film producing and also minored in theater. So there was something that was really a part of my life and that really excited me. I did some TV shows out there. I did like a singing show where I had to live in a house for about 3 months with a bunch of other singers doing this singing reality show competition thing, and I just fell in love with it. So I was working as an actor and a singer for like 3 years after college. And it was just like, that was my life. That was just always something that I really wanted to do. And it fed my soul and it fed my heart and everything. So when the economic crash happened in 2008 in Greece, the first, industry to get hit was the entertainment industry, because that was just kind of how it went. So work was scarce. It was tough to find things. It was a really tough time for everybody. So I was 25 years old and I was like, let me see, what do I have here in my pocket? I'm like, oh, it's an American passport. Let me start over. So I moved to New York, and that's exactly what I did. I started over from scratch. I did a couple gigs here and there, survival jobs, and just kind of trying to tame the beast that is New York. And then when I hit 30 years old, I discovered the wonderful world of ideal protein.
Wow.
And that's when I opened up my first clinic.
Yeah. And Akis, tell us a little bit about your backstory, because again, we talked about all the degrees, et cetera, that you have, but also you're quite an athlete. As I understand it, you've got a background in elite fencing and for the Greek national team.
Correct. Yeah. So I was born and raised in Greece, in a small town, and then eventually moved to Athens to train with the national team. So of course my lifestyle was a lot evolved around training and nutrition since a young age. So that was just something I grew up with. And my first studies, my first bachelor's was in sports science and physical sciences and nutrition. So that really got me into that whole world, right? Fast forward 2009, I moved to the United States and got into more. There was a brief period there that I got into acting too, here with Taso. Like,
I believe it.
Yeah,
he's really good. Really good.
Well, that was a fun time. Fast forward, I wanted to do something more close to my background of health and wellness.
Yeah.
So I went into naturopathic medicine, and I did that for a while and practiced as a traditional naturopathic doctor, and then went on to do my nursing degree and nurse practitioner as a family nurse practitioner in primary care, but subspecialized in or worked alongside dermatology and aesthetic dermatology. And today I just work strictly in that area.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's so cool that you've got that your first bachelor was in exercise science. That's two things that we have in common besides our stunning good looks. Also we share the same first bachelor's degree. That's really pretty cool. But that's it, right? So for me, exercise science, nutrition, et cetera, like that has been a passion. Kind of hard to create a career out of it, right? And so that's kind of where I diverted into chiropractic, and have always had one foot, one hand in that exercise and fitness realm as well. How did you guys meet? Tell us how you guys met. I'm sure it was in Greece.
I was in Greece. It was actually my last year that I was living there in 2008. And we met.
So Taso was an actual student in Athens. He went there. He did the other way around. He came to Greece to study, and now came here to study after. But while his time there, it's funny if people remember the poke feature on Facebook. That's how we met. It was just a poke away. Yes. It's a funny story, but actually that's the true story.
Yeah, we met through a Facebook.
Oh my God, hilarious. And so then, did you move to New York City together or different time? I lost your audio. I can't hear you guys.
How about now?
Yes.
That was so weird. Right in the middle of your sentence, it cut the audio.
And then did you do something to move anything or?
No.
Shit. Okay. All right. So I'll just have to do a little editing to this show. All right. So I'm going to dial it back. And so I was asking a question about when you moved to New York City, Akis. Okay. So that's where we'll pick it back up. Okay. So Akis, when did you move to New York City? Did you guys move together there or did you move at separate times?
So we moved at separate times. Taso moved here first, and of course, it made it a lot easier for me to have a reference point of someone to know here. And then I moved here about 10 months later, in 2009.
Okay. Excellent. And so at this stage of your game, tell us about your clinics. And you've got 2 locations at this stage?
Correct. Yes. So Ideal Health started back in 2014 with our first clinic that we provided ideal protein through the clinic, and Taso can talk a lot more about that. So it's been around now 9 years with Ideal Health and Ideal Protein. And the concept of Aeon came a lot later, about 2.5, 3 years ago, where we start providing more aesthetic dermatology services and injectables, which they actually kind of start complementing each other and helping our patients in more ways than one.
Right. Yeah, I love that. And I love this combination and the whole concept. How did you guys come up with this?
Well, as Aki said, 9 years ago, we opened up Ideal Health in the Upper East Side location of Manhattan. And then a few years later, we opened up the one in Flatiron in Midtown. So we saw opportunity. Like in the beginning, we were coaches, and that's what we were focusing on. And Aki was studying medicine. When he finished, he kind of took off and going after more of his aspirations and his dreams and the things that were falling in front of his front door. And we were sat down to see the similarities, to see like how can we help people feel good on the inside and the outside, but what's like the next step of the outside? What are people wanting to do in the next step? So, we started doing, vitamin shots, a little bit of IV, a little bit of, things to help people that are on a caloric deficit or nutritional keto, to help them from that. And then slowly that turns into, what else do you guys do here? And then we started expanding our menu from there. Aki really spearheaded that part of Aeon. He really takes charge of like what he offers as a practitioner, and then I pick from that list to be like, okay, what can my ideal protein clients benefit from this menu? And then slowly it kind of just evolves naturally.
Yeah. No, it seems like an absolutely, especially in a place like New York City. I think where I have an impression that there's a high population of models and actors and actresses and people who, really are looking for a lot of those services and just that really great, unique combination.
Mm-hmm. We have a very diverse clientele. We've got anywhere, like you said, actors, singers. We've got CEO, people who are busy. We have I have nannies. I have entrepreneurs. We have travelers. We have people who come from out of town. It's just every people of walks of life who end up in New York City, will come through our doors. So everybody has a very different life. So what it's been really beautiful to see is that Ideal Protein has been able to benefit every single kind of person that walks into our office.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a great way to put it, right? No matter who you are or what you do, there is some way to benefit from the nutritional protocol for sure. Right.
Yeah.
I also love too, as I was reading some of your website and your press, how you talk about, it's about the total beauty experience, both internal and external, connecting with your clients and being able to bring that stuff out. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like how you call the experience that your clients get, you strive for a customized and a compassionate experience.
Yeah, and we do that a lot in our initial consultation. We really sit down with our clients in both offices, and him with his aesthetics clients, and mine with my Ideal Protein clients. We sit down and we really connect with our clients to see, why are you here? What is your motivation? What has your history been like? Tell me how you grew up. Where did you grow up? So we can kind of get a sense of where they're at in their lives and kind of their self-awareness, their awareness of their surroundings, to see how we can modify our coaching and his treatments based on the kind of individual that walks through the door, because it's not going to be the same for everybody. There are similarities that a lot of people will share, but for the most part, we won't know that unless we have that really heart-to-heart conversation.
So I did also too want you to kind of flesh out for us. We talked about a couple of accolades that you've been given by Aesthetics Everything, and talk to us a little bit about what it means to be top aesthetic clinic on the East Coast.
That's great.
And who is Aesthetics Everything?
So Aesthetic Everything is the oldest award platform for aesthetic practices and aesthetic practitioners. So it is great to be recognized, right, in any capacity. So for us, it was a great moment to see that and to be able to have that, and to see that the way we treat our patients, our clients, is actually the right way, and that actually this is being recognized. So that's what the background of that is. That to me, that's what it means. Even as an injector, being recognized means that I'm doing the right thing for my clients and patients. So I think that's the bottom line, right? It's a great recognition, of course, but at the end of the day, it means that we do the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to bring up, I want to show this graphic here. You guys were both featured in this magazine, LA Fashion Magazine.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about this. You're on the cover. You've got a huge spread on the inside. Really pretty neat.
So we have sent our thanks to Nina Vargas. She's the editor of LA Fashion Magazine. We met her randomly at a meet and greet, and she was going to do a story about the clinic and everything, but we just connected so deeply with her, and it felt so organic that she reached out back to us within 24 hours. Like, I want to do this with you guys. I think it's a great story. I think it's the right idea. I think there's a lot here to talk about. And of course, we're ecstatic. I'm like, that's a great, opportunity, and who wouldn't want that? So yeah, this is how this whole thing started, and then from there, the cover came.
It was a very connected to the kind of approach that we do with our clients, is because we're a team, and we always come off as a team, that we always are like kind of bring that Greek hospitality. She was very inspired about our story and how we met and how we came to be, and that we're a boutique clinic and we're very precise and we spend a lot of time with our clients. So she really liked that whole story. So she's like, she's like, there's something special here. So she's like, I really want to do something for you, and I think that this would be a great opportunity for you and for you guys. And we were very floored. We were like, we were very excited and very grateful, very happy.
And so she said, yeah, just run up to your closets, grab a couple of things and snap some pics with your iPhone. Or
that's how we dress every day.
I mean, holy heck, just such absolutely awesome pictures. And then if we go inside, oh, look at that stare. Like,
Look at that guy right there.
The smoky stare.
I feel like that guy belongs in a boy band. I don't know.
Well, evidently he can sing like that. And then I love this picture, Akis. And like we were talking about before, I think I've got that suit in my closet. I gotta go back and check. Oh, you guys are absolute naturals. Hopefully you get other modeling gigs from this.
It was super cool. We went into they rented this whole studio out. They had a whole team there for clothes and makeup and hair, and it was just like very surreal. It was like all this for us, and it was just kind of like, it was such a fun day.
Yeah, I bet. It's just super, super cool. All right. So, Taso, let's get into this part of it for our Ideal Protein people. How did you find out about Ideal Protein in the first place? And was this something personal for you?
Yeah, it was definitely personal for me. I struggled my whole life with weight. I come from an immigrant family. My parents are immigrants from Greece. And if anybody knows Greek hospitality or Greek social events, it always revolves around food. So everything was food. So I never really learned about portion control or, what a carb is, or, whatever we learned in high school, half of it doesn't stick and the other half you don't even remember, because you're thinking about,
right,
more important things in high school, like, homecoming.
Exactly. Right.
So you don't really think about it as you get older. So I fluctuated a lot with my weight. I would, be super thin and lean, and then I would, get a little chubby, and then back and forth. And I was fluctuating a good 30 pounds every few years and just not really having any guidance or understanding. I would just I'm just going to eat less, and not really understanding what a macro is, or micronutrition or macronutrition. I just didn't think that it really pertained to me because it just wasn't a part of my life because I wasn't raised that way, So I went through a pretty difficult time when I was 30 years old, going through a really big life transition. And I had gone home to Chicago because that's originally where I'm from. And I have 3 siblings over there, and my parents, and a really big fat Greek family over there. So my brother actually discovered Ideal Protein, and he had brought it home, and everybody was, losing weight. And because I would go home every few months, I really wasn't seeing them and their transformation.
Right.
And all of a sudden, as a family, they had lost over 150 pounds. And I'm just like, and that's not in a little way. My sister didn't lose 10 pounds, and and we're all tall. I mean, I'm 6'1", and my brothers are both taller than me. I'm the shortest one of the men in my family.
Wow.
So it's we're losing 5-10 pounds. It was 25, 30, 35, 40 pounds people that were losing, my parents, everybody. So I was like, there's really something here. And it just got me so excited to learn about something new and learn something that was easy to follow. That was the biggest thing, that it was something that was easy to follow, that it made sense to me, that it was explained to me in a way as a commoner or a normal person who doesn't have any sort of degree in medicine or nutrition. So I took about 2.5 months of food with me of Ideal Protein to check it out. Took it back with me to New York. I remember I had booked a musical theater gig, and I was doing Rent, and I had, I was getting to play the part of Roger, which was a dream of mine come true. So I had that motivation for me, and I was the long-term motivation, of course, I had to be, was feeling better, my nutrition, my health, all that stuff. But, getting me to that point was, I got to get ready for this part, and I want to look the best, and I want to, put my best foot forward. So I was super strict and diligent with it, and I lost 45 pounds. And I did it in about 2.5 months. And it felt it was just it was the way I've lost weight before, but it was just very different this time. I felt healthy. I wasn't hungry. I didn't feel like I was starving. I had balance. I was learning things. I was learning nutrition. I was like, this is the best kept secret. This is was like, I'm like, how are not people knowing about this? Like, why doesn't anybody know about it? Nobody knew about, in my circles, like Ideal Protein, they knew all like the mainstream stuff and all those mainstream stuff that people think about, oh, whatever. It's, as a man, especially, men don't really think about diet programs or weight loss programs or whatever you want to call it. It's just not something that really comes across because, a man with a few extra pounds is still pretty, that's something that we have to, society, fortunately for us, doesn't really frown upon it too much. So, in my industry, it does, but in the general public, it doesn't, right? So, I just felt super excited about it. So I actually did it wrong the first time. I had gained 20 pounds back. It took me about 6 months to gain the 20 pounds back because I got so excited about losing the weight. I was like, I'm done. I'm good. I did it. I lost the weight. I can go back. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. No, you can't go back to your old habits because that's what got me into this program in the first place. So I'm like, okay, I need to just focus. So I
put down the baklava.
Yeah, right. What do you mean I can't have a tray of baklava every night? So I did the program again, 4 weeks, lost the 20 pounds that I had gained, and then I kept it off, and I've kept it off for like 9 years. But that initial jump just like switched something in my head, and I opened up my first clinic, and I said, this is something that excites me. This is something that I would love to do as a business. And I think I can help a lot of people. And that's how I started with it in my weight loss journey.
Yeah. That is the story. And if you get, 10 clinic owners in a room, 9 out of 10 of them have that exact same story, right? Like you had this personal experience. You were like, holy heck, what is this? I didn't expect to feel this great. I didn't expect a lot of the things that come along with doing the program. And I just got to help other people do this. People got to learn about this, right? And I also think too, kind of the reputation or what surrounds actors and actresses and performers, et cetera, is that concept of, how do they get in shape for roles? How do they change their body for roles, et cetera? And I gotta think that there is an absolute great place for Ideal Protein for these people to do that in the right way, the healthiest way to do it, let's put it that way, and be able to change relatively quickly.
Yeah.
Right?
Because not everybody's going to be, having a film or TV project where the producers are going to give you a personal trainer and a dietitian. Sometimes most of the time, a lot of my actors, and myself included, we got to do it on our own. We have to, learn on our own. And Ideal Protein has been something that's been able to help me get it into shape, for a lot of the parts that I do.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked a little bit earlier in the pre-interview about how the two different clinics kind of have two different populations, because that's also kind of the way the city is set up, right? Different people live in different boroughs or different parts of the city. Kind of compare and contrast what goes on in Flatiron versus what goes on in Upper East Side.
Oh yeah. We also had a clinic for a few years in Astoria, in Queens, okay. and I bring that up because it is part of the question. Unfortunately, when COVID hit, we had to put that clinic on pause for the time being. But Flatiron, the clinic of a Flatiron we were attracting a lot of the worker bees, a lot of the people coming in from Brooklyn, from Jersey. There was a lot of the people coming in on their lunch break. They were workers and they would come after work, before work. So those were my worker bees. Upper East Side was a lot of the locals, a lot of Manhattanites, a lot of the Upper East Side people. Upper West Side coming up. A lot of the locals of New Yorkers. And then when we had Astoria in Queens, those were a lot of our suburbanites. Those suburbanites are a whole different beast in themselves, which I think.
Wow. So.
Very similar to a lot of the clinics across America. So
gotcha.
We really had to change the coaching for each clinic, for each of the majority of the demographic. Of course, you get the stragglers who go everywhere and they're kind of their own thing. But the way that we had to approach certain people and certain clinics was very different. We had, Upper East Side locals. They had all the time in the world. They had all the money in the world. They were fine. They just needed lots of guidance, coaching, understanding, and education. My worker bees. I had to make sure that they had time. I said, listen, you got to make time. You have to make time. I'm busy. Those are the people traveling. They're the younger crowd. They want to go out on the weekend. So there was always a way of kind of having that conversation. How do I coach them? And that way, the suburbanites, they had more time. They were driving. They would sometimes bring their kids. They were the ones who always bring in the family. I'd always have like sisters or like couples together. They had more time. They were a lot easier to coach because they would journal and they had more time to journal. I would have to fight everybody else to journal, but they were good journalers, because they had more of the time. So it was interesting to see how very different everybody was. But we just were able to. But the program worked for everybody. It was just a way, just a different approach for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, fascinating how 3 different clinics within a city have 3 totally different populations, and having to adjust your mindset in order to be effective in all 3 of those different situations. So let's just shift gears a little bit now. And Akis, I wanted to explore the concept, and I really love the idea of approaching your craft, right? Which is both an art and a science. As a facial architect. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So I think I always had an artistic background, I wanted things to be a little more artistic in my life. So I think this is how I fell into medicine and then into aesthetic dermatology, because there's this factor in it. Alongside with that, and with our years with ideal protein and weight loss, we came across a lot of patients or clients that with weight loss, they lost volume and they complained about that. So it was kind of a natural evolution in the clinic where people could now establish aspects of their face or their body that we can put volume again on their face, or make them happier in other aspects other than the weight loss. Now they're healthy, how do they look aesthetically? And my approach, and what you spoke about, John, is that we have to still remain respectful to the natural anatomy and the tissue, instead of overfilling the faces or trying to alienate the way a person looks. So I always stay respectful to the person, their baseline, and we just try to optimize who they are, and just bring some of the volume back. And that's the goal always.
Yeah, I was reading part of I'm not sure if it was in the magazine or what have you, but you really do continue to bring up your knowledge of facial structure and of anatomy, and making sure that, that's a huge part of your craft.
It's very important. I think a lot of times it's a very important step that's being overlooked in our industry. And a lot of people, when you speak about, say, volume or filler or Botox, the first thing that they think is about those overfilled faces that look weird or they're not happy. And a lot of times I get that in my office and people tell me, I don't want to look fake and I don't want to look overfilled. And this is not the goal. So,
I'm glad you said that, because it's true. I've seen some people and some things, and I'm just like, it makes you shake your head, right?
I agree. I agree. And it's a big issue in the industry, right? And there was recently a big article on the magazine, talking about, it was titled "The Big Dissolve." That was part of the article. I was talking exactly about that issue in the industry, that there are all these spaces that are overfilled because there are people that are just going to go along and perform the treatments. But we also carry an ethical responsibility to our patients, our providers in the injectable industry, to just guide them, educate them, and produce an aesthetically pleasing result without, again, altering their face or reconstruction.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I absolutely think that's fascinating. It's fascinating what you do, and it's neat how you worked your way into that path, that career path, and what you've created. So, Akis, both of you actually, but Akis especially. I'm sure that you, from time to time, you get a chance to work with some notable people in New York City. And you guys shared with me a couple of pictures. I'm very fascinated to find out about your work with Miss New York.
Correct. Terrence Smith. I started working with Taryn early on when she was preparing for the Miss New York pageant competition. So she came with some skin issues, and she's open about that, so we can talk about it. Usually, we wouldn't be able to, but she's open. She's spoken about it, so I'm happy to share. So she came with skin issues and hyperpigmentation and acne. So we started working on her skin to get her ready for the pageant, where she went last year, May 2022. She won Miss New York. Fast forward, we kept preparing her for Miss America now. That was this past December. And Miss America, she did amazing. She came first runner-up. And we've been working together ever since. She's amazing. She's beautiful. But more than anything, she's an amazing advocate for many, many issues, and spokesperson. Has an amazing platform. So she's just a beautiful person all around.
Yeah, no, I'm sure, absolutely. And then she stopped by to show you the crown, and you said, "Oh, well, we've got the photographer right here. Let's all pose for a picture." Right?
This is actually her photographer.
You know what? There you go. She travels with one for sure, right?
That yes. We're not there yet.
Yeah, his name's Mac. He's awesome.
That's great. Awesome. I just, you guys are, I love your combination here, man. Wait till you see me, everybody, in about 6 months. I'm going to go up there, and this face is going to get architected. No.
Oh, God.
All right. I want to shift gears back to Ideal Protein, and I want to talk about, I want to get into something that's really cool. And I think that our listeners and our viewers are going to love and going to be able to really get some good stuff out of this part of our show. Number one, I wanted to, Taso, I want to talk to you about, I got another quote from, you just sent me that article today, which you're killing me, man. Like dropping this awesome bit of material at the last.
Yesterday. Yeah, I just got it yesterday, so I wanted to share with you.
They're absolutely fantastic. I pulled this quote out and I wanted to hit you with it because I wanted to talk about this. This is something that I feel very, very strongly about personally as well. The person asked you about mistakes that you've made coaching or what have you. And the quote is, "The most interesting mistake I learned as a coach is that you can't force anyone to be or to do better for themselves. I can see as clear as day the potential of a new client that walks into one of my clinics. I can remember spending hours and hours a month motivating and teaching clients with no change in their progress or behaviors. And I found that the harder that I pushed, the more they resisted." Right?
Yeah.
To me,
you probably know exactly what that means, right?
I do. And I'm right there right now myself. Like, I don't know why, but we're in this period or this patch where that's like that just described my daily experience. I love the concept, and you both can see this, and you can see this on two different levels as well. But when you get a potential client that walks through the door and kind of sits in your office, you can, like, I can see what's possible, right? And all you want to do is you want to reach down in there and you want to pull it out of them, right? And you're so excited for this person. And some
it's like you see it, but they don't see it. You try to help them to see it, but they don't want to see it. So you're the only one seeing it by yourself.
Well, and I've said this to clients recently, again, more often than I'd like to, but it's, why do I want this for you more than you want it for you?
Yes.
right? Like, I
Mhm.
can't want this more for you than you do. It's not going to work.
What I've noticed is a lot of people don't know why they do what they do. They don't know, and I can't say this is any from some sort of study or from this is only from my experience as a coach. But I've had clients who lose anybody who loses over 25 to 30 pounds minimum have that wake up call and they realize why they are either addicted to food or have that eating disorder or overeating or whatever their reason is. They have that snap after 25, 30 pounds and they realize, oh my God, this is why, this is what's holding me back. And I've seen it time and time again. It could be as serious as I'm not happy in my marriage. I hate this city. I hate my job. Like
Yep.
it's real big pivotal realizations that people have. Sometimes it goes into the wrong direction or the right direction. That's something that I can't control. I had a client, she realized she had like a clear head experience after losing 35 pounds and she finally followed her dream of becoming a singer. And now till this day, she's been with me for 8 years. She's released 3 albums and she has live
Wow.
shows now and she sings and she's did all of this in her late 40s because she was like, I feel like this is what has been holding me back is I'm holding myself back. And that loss of giant weight has allowed her to flourish and feel like she had like another opportunity or chance to do what she really wanted to. And she just was like motivated and writing and writing. I had other clients who were like, I freaking hate this city, I'm leaving. And they would move and they would leave, and, unfortunately, sometimes people realize that they're stuck in certain situations they can't get out of
Yep.
and they end up going in the other direction, and
Yeah.
I always have to be very clear from the beginning that I am a coach, I am a motivator, I am a supporter. I'm here to educate as much as I can through, being certified with Ideal Protein. I'm here to help you. But when it comes to that point, psychologically, where I can't touch it, ethically, then, very rarely, it does happen, but very rarely, I always say, maybe you should talk to somebody, talk to a
Yep.
professional to get these things in order. Because sometimes that light bulb goes up and they get scared of what they realize, of what
Yeah.
they discover about themselves.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting thing. So it's kind of like a dance. I let my clients, fail a little bit, help them up, dust them off, help them do that realization, do all these like really cool exercises. But there always is that fine line where, it's just, I can't touch it. I shouldn't, that's something that's just
Sure.
out of my wheelhouse.
So Taso,
Mhm.
when you're coaching your clients and we're trying to get them through their everyday challenges, the things that are going to make them stumble. One of my biggest deals these days is weight loss happens on the weekends, right? Like, number one, my Monday schedule is empty because nobody wants to come in on Monday, right? Like, and my Friday schedule is full because everybody wants to weigh in right before the weekend. They're going to be dealing with all kinds of stuff, right? They're going to have social events. They're going to have things that are going to try to trip them up. You shared with me a project that you've been working on, a coaching concept, a model that I absolutely love. Tell us a little bit about the Ideal Warrior Project.
So the Warrior Project is something I came up with about a little over a year ago. It was something that was always in the back of my head for years because I was just kind of doing my own recon in the back of my head of trying to figure out how I could be a better coach and how I could be a better clinic owner and where some of my dieters were failing and why were they failing at these points. So the biggest frustration as a coach was seeing a client come in and having them already been defeated by something that had happened that weekend. Have it be a social event, a religious event, a holiday, a travel plan, a work thing, anything that comes up that they're just not prepared for. So they come in defeated. And when a client comes in defeated, you have to spend more time and more energy to pick them up, dust them off, and be like, let's do better this week. Like, we're great, but they've already had that feeling of didn't quite do it that well. I already failed. So you kind of lost the battle there as a coach. And I'm like, how can I preemptively set up my patients, my clients, and my dieters to set them up for success? Like, what happens? Because they keep coming in defeated, and that word kept coming up: defeated, defeated, defeated. I'm like, they're like these wounded soldiers that come in, and then I have to like heal them, bandage them up, but that healing could take up to weeks, and then sometimes it snowballs, and then they have another tough week after that because they're still thinking about the week before. So I said, what can I do as a coach to preemptively strike back at the forces that we're not in control of to make sure that they succeed?
Yeah.
So how I came up with the Warrior Project. So I said, you're going out, you're going to these airports, you're going to these restaurants. Everything is designed to make you overweight. The portions are huge in America. We all know that obesity is a huge problem. You go anywhere, and everything is just designed to attack you. Everything is designed to pump you with processed foods, overeating, high carb, low protein. So they just I just imagine these warriors, my clients just getting hit left and right, and then they're just defeated by Monday for their weigh-in, and they're like, oh my God, this happened. So I said, okay. I sat down, I drew. I didn't draw this. I'm a horrible artist. So I drew like a mock-up version. I said, okay, we have our shield. What tools can I give my clients to defend themselves in these type of situations, right? So I started making a list. These are the excuses that I hear. These are the incidents that happen. These are the events that happen that are out of their control or in their control. And I started writing religious holidays, mental health. Are you sleeping? Self-care. Is there a religious thing coming up? Or you have a trip, you have a birthday, you have this, you have that. Okay. I made the list and I said, okay, there's a lot of things on this list. All these things on the list will make up your shield. Now, these pieces are interchangeable, because what could be one thing that's big for me is not going to be necessarily big for Aki. So having that part of that on my shield is not necessary, and vice versa. So I have everybody's shield according to what they have for that next coming week.
Okay.
If they have a work trip, we're like, work trip. All right, you put that on your shield. How are you going to defend yourself from this work trip? That's when we go into the subcategories of each category. So work trip, for example, where are you going? How long are you gone for? How can we prepare? What foods can we travel with? What are the things that we're kind of worried about? Oh, there's going to be drinks later. Okay, what are the solutions that we can have? So we get into this like conversation of solutions, and then they get excited and they're like, oh my God, I'm like a warrior going to battle, right?
Yeah.
So we reinforce that shield, right? And that's what the weigh-ins are about. It's about building that reinforcement with their coach. Because I say, the work that we do in this room is the only time that you're going to be able to have this time. Everything out there is working to pull you in the opposite direction. So let's make sure that these next 15, 20 minutes are solid. And when you walk out of there, you're going into battle. So they go out there, they're defending themselves. I'm like, what's a soldier without a sword? How are you going to fight back? How are you going to fight your in-laws or your siblings or people who are just like, it's just one glass of wine, or you work so hard, or you look fine, oh, it's just bad. How do you defend yourself? How do you fight back? So you have the sword, and the stability of your sword has to be your confidence. You need to be confident. If you're stable, if your sword is not confident, then that blade is just going to kind of be floozy, So what is the sword? How can you fight back? It's the education and the preparation that we do in that consultation, and then the power of no. That is the biggest thing. These graphics are beta. This is still in beta. There's still some work I want to do on it, but the power of the no would be at the tip for me. So just kind of being able to fight back and be confident in the way you do fight back, right?
Well, and please, I want you to flesh out a little bit. Say I'm in your office and you're trying to teach me about the power of no. Like, give me a little bit of that.
So if you're going to a barbecue with your family, it's Saturday, you guys are going to the park, your uncle's grilling, you have your sisters there, your brothers, and everyone is there, the wine is flowing, they made homemade sangria, they got the fruit out, they have all this kind of stuff out, and you're on phase one, and you're 3 weeks in, you've lost 10 pounds, and you're excited, but you're like, damn, it's the family cookout, we do this every year, what do I do? So after, I would coach you and tell you, like, so what are the biggest obstacles at this event? Like, what are the weaknesses? What are the things that are going to be like, oh, hey, my cousin's sangria is the best. I have it every year. I have to have a glass or else they're going to get insulted or any of that kind of stuff. I said, okay, listen, you go there. Before you go to the picnic, you talk to your cousin who makes the best sangria you've ever had, and you have a conversation. And you say, listen, I'm doing something. I'm 3 weeks in. I really need your support. Do you think that you can support me in this? 9 times out of 10, they're going to say yes, of course.
Right.
If you wait until the barbecue, then it's going to be like, so the power
Brilliant.
of
Absolutely brilliant.
It's kind of like a last resort, the power of no, to being like, just being able to say no, that's it. Just the answer is no. But I don't want you to get to that point, because when people hear the word no, they also like to fight it. It's just human nature.
Exactly. If you tell me no, then I'm going to work a little bit harder because I'm
exactly. It's like I see it as a challenge, So, but
it's come on, just one glass. It's this famous sangria. But I love the fact, like I've never even considered that too, though, of that advance call. Right? Not waiting until the event, not waiting until you get there, and actually calling that person, because I get that all the time. Oh, but I didn't want to offend them, and okay. But I think that's perfect. Have the conversation beforehand, not in the moment.
Exactly. And the power of no is mostly for yourself. It's not for them. It's mostly for you. It's your confidence of being able to be like, I am okay with saying no to this. It's for you, mostly.
Yeah. Plus, you can bottle that stuff, put it in the fridge, and when we're done, go ahead and have a glass. But when you save it for gold, right?
There will always be sangria. There will always be cake. There will always be parties. They're never going. They're not going to. They'll always be there.
There will always be baklava. There will always be with the spinach and the spinach and the paper bread thing. What is that?
Spanakopita.
Yeah, spanakopita. Right. Yeah. I had a Greek mother and daughter here for a while, and they were trying to bring me up on all that stuff. I'm like, how many carbs in spanakopita?
A lot. A lot more than we need.
But so in sticking with your model, right? We kind of talked about them. They think of coming to your office as training camp, right?
Yes, exactly. This is where, as coaches, we have to make sure that they understand every week. You have to come in and you have to do the work on your shield and on your sword and reinforce it. That's where the coaching is, and that's how you keep that consistency of your clients coming in, is by using this step, is base camp. Because if they're putting up their shield and it keeps getting beat, eventually it's going to break, or it's going to there's going to be a crack, or there's going to be a hole.
Yeah.
So don't let them stab you. You got to go back to your coach. You got to go back to camp, and you got to go and reinforce that shield, and then also change the pieces of the shield. Be like, okay, that party's done. What's coming up this week? Oh, I have a work trip. Okay. I know we keep using that example the whole time. I got a religious holiday coming up. So we take that piece and we put that on the shield, and then we talk about solutions, and then you're hammering away and you're just setting everything up, So I've been implementing this with a lot of my clients this past year, and it's very, very, very effective, because they come in empowered, they come in confident, and they're like, I didn't think that I could do it, but because I prepared, I was able to. It was like easy for them, as opposed to coming in defeated, being a week behind. They come in, they got passed through what they needed to get passed through, and they're 1, 2, 3 pounds lighter.
Yeah, like you said, they're victorious and they're strong.
Yeah, victorious. Yeah,
their self-confidence is. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Ever since we talked about this last week, I've been kind of thinking about it, and it's like, you've got to they've got to come in with their shield, and then you've got these Velcro things that you put on it for what's going on next, right? Yeah. I think
and every clinic can make their own version of it, because every demographic, like we talked earlier about the suburbanites, the city people, the Manhattanites, the worker bees, they're all very different people, so their shields, all of their shields are going to be very different looking. So all those pieces are interchangeable, and I'm sure there's going to be more pieces that are going to be added to that based on the experience that each coach has with their area.
Yeah. Also, I got to tell you that I expect a professional picture of you, like dressed with the shield and the sword.
Maybe the next Super Weekend, right?
I think that's awesome.
We're giving me ideas now.
Can't you just see it? Absolutely. Awesome. Well, you know what, guys? Thank you so much for spending this time with us and for talking to us about the experience in New York City, the combination of Ideal Protein and injectable aesthetics, and what you guys, the beauty you're able to bring out of people that's already in there. I love that concept. Like I said, I think you had a lot to share with people. And I hope that people will listen to the show or watch the show, and they'll find you and make use of your services. I just think it's so cool. Thank you so much.
John, thank you. We really appreciate you bringing us on, and we're so excited to be a part of this. You've been doing incredible work, and in the Ideal Protein community, you're such an incredible leader, man. For real.
You're a natural with the breeze. You made this so organic. So really, thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And now we've got to do an event up in New York City.
We love that. We love that. We work with a lot of the membership clubhouses in New York, like Soho House, for example. And we do talks there. And we do panel discussions. And so next time you're in town, let me know, and we can maybe set something up there.
Cool. Absolutely, but I'm going to raid your closets, and I'm going to have to. I got to get your guy to take some pictures somehow.
You got it. Easy. That's easy. He follows us, so he's
I got to get my stare down. That's all right. Thank you so much. Hang out backstage. I'll talk to you afterwards, and let me wrap up this show. Get it going.
All right. Thank you, John.
All right. Take care, guys. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us on the show. Absolutely. If you are in New York City and you've been thinking about some of these services, you've been thinking about weight loss for sure with Ideal Protein, or you've been thinking a little bit beyond that and getting some help with some of the other stuff, especially with the aesthetics and injectables probably. Check them out. Just an absolute amazing team. And I can't wait to hang out with them again. So thank you, as always. Like, subscribe, share, send this to your friends and family. And as always, keep reaching for your life possible.